Xbox Game Studio head designates TikTok and movies as main competitors. In a New York Times interview with Xbox Game Studio head Matt Booty, the Xbox leader states that the company will compete with alternate forms of entertainment rather than rival consoles like the PlayStation 5. Quote, "We are all seeking to meet people where they are," said Booty. "Our biggest competition isn't another console. We are competing more and more with everything from TikToks to movies." The interview was posted the same day as the Halo World Championship, where a remake of the original Halo entry was unveiled, titled Halo Campaign Evolved. The anticipated game is the first entry in the entire franchise to be released on PlayStation, highlighting the shift away from console exclusives. 2 days before the Halo event, Xbox President Sarah Bond, in an interview with Mashable, added her 2 cents, wink, on the company's transition away from the commonly named console war. Quote, "We're really seeing people evolve way past that," Bond said. "Like the biggest games in the world are available everywhere. You look at Call of Duty, you look at Minecraft, you own those 2 titles, Sarah Bond. You look at Fortnite, you look at Roblox." Xbox has been heavily criticized as of late, with last week Halo YouTuber Rebs Gaming discovering through an anonymous source that generative AI will be woven into every aspect of the Halo games. Early October had Microsoft raise its price of its Ultimate subscription tier on its service Xbox Game Pass by $20, with plans to offer a new free tier that plays ads in place of a monthly fee and limiting playtime. A month prior to that, Xbox would raise the price of both versions of its current generation consoles, the Xbox Series X and S, by $180 respectively in the U.S. as a result of the macroeconomic environment. In July, Microsoft laid off 4% of its workforce due to costs related to expansions in AI, with Booty touching on it in the same interview, calling the layoffs difficult.
Yeah, they're trying to go the way they did back in the day. I remember it was notable because there was the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. This is for those that may not remember it or weren't around then or old enough to pay attention. They were, first of all, the console was way more pricey than it should have been, but it was also jumping into being not just a console to play video games. Who cares about those? It's to play movies. It's to be like an entertainment system, right? And there was this whole controversy where you couldn't just basically put a friend's game into your console. PlayStation just seized on them, making fun of them in a very famous ad where they did like, "Here's how you share your games on PlayStation." And it's just I can't remember who the 2 figures were, but it's just them handing a physical copy of a game to one another. A lot of people say, and I would probably agree with them, that Xbox never really recovered from that time in the console war. Of course, we thankfully moved past that, so it's not been as impactful as it was at the time, but certainly PlayStation was the top dog, definitively at that time, comparative to the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 days, where it was highly contested about what was the best console. But when I see a story like this, it just seems like, well, you're losing out on the consoles again compared to PlayStation and to Nintendo consoles, the Switch 2. And even though we're not in the console wars anymore, they're trying to carve out their own space, and it seems like they're going back to entertainment as a whole rather than just video games, which to a degree makes sense. They've been partnering with AMD more to start using their technologies, their Xbox consoles, to be more than just a place where you play games, but also double as a Windows platform. We haven't really seen a lot of what they plan to do as a whole come to fruition yet, but this is clearly them talking about it and, you know, giving us an insight into what their thought process is and how Xbox is moving in the future.
I feel a gear shift, really, like a really hard gear shift, and we've been kind of hinting at this for the last, maybe month or so, but like certainly now with the announcement of Halo Campaign Evolved coming to PlayStation, with how Matt Booty and Sarah Bond have been talking for the last couple of weeks now, I feel a very heavy gear shift from Xbox strategy. So everything that I've been saying over the last year and a half of what I believe the strategy is at Xbox, throw it away. Like, I don't know. I don't know what Xbox is doing anymore. Like, none of it really makes sense to me at all. Like, I don't see the strategy. I don't see the logic in it. It just, everything from my perspective feels like them saying, we're done. Like, we're done. We're gonna maybe get this last set of hardwares out the door, but we are not gonna be the main hardware manufacturer that we once were anymore. We'll partner with AMD, we'll partner with ROG, and we'll help them develop hardware, and we'll lend our expertise to them in that ways, and we can stick our Xbox branding on it in that way, like you see with the ROG Xbox Ally X or whatever the fuck that thing is called. So I think we'll see more stuff like that, but all of the talk I've had of like Xbox trying to be everywhere before everybody else is, like, I don't see that really as a thing anymore. Like, sure, maybe the Xbox store will be on every screen no demand, but like And I guess that is still in line with what I've been saying is because at some point the box isn't going to stop mattering, right? At some point it won't be a box that you buy. It'll just be a thing that you stream to your television or something like that, because that's where we're going. Now, will it happen in the next 10 years or 20 years? I don't fucking know. I would guess the next 10, but the future is to be what it is. But yeah, this statement about TikTok and movies just feels like we're just repeating sins of the past. This feels like, to give it a comparison to something that, some people might understand. This feels like when we heard Drake's Push-Ups, which is the first response to Kendrick Lamar's Like That verse, right? And he mentioned Kendrick's wife, Whitney. And we all collectively went, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that again?" Because the last time you mentioned another rapper's wife, Pusha T packed your ass up and sent your ass home to go cry in Canada for the next 3 years. It sent you on an apology tour. So why the fuck are you doing it again with Kendrick Lamar, who's got way more impact and influence than Pusha T does? And wouldn't you know it, Drake has been the laughingstock for the last 2 years. Xbox. Yeah, I don't know. Everything they're saying tells me that they're taking their foot off the gas, which means PlayStation can now run home console gaming for the end of time, because PlayStation's not competing with Nintendo. Nintendo's in their own lane, even though it seems like, all the rumors of PlayStation 6 having a handheld component to it, seems like they're going to jump into that field. And I do think they should jump into that field, because they shouldn't leave handheld gaming to be taken over by purely Nintendo, even though, you've got your ROG allies and you've got your Steam Decks and all of these things. I don't know. Everybody's doing everything now, I can't keep track of anything. I don't know what anybody's tactics are anymore. You know what I miss, Connor? You brought up the old times where we had the PlayStation personalities. I miss that. And it's ironically, it's a lesson I wish Xbox would learn, is to stop letting their personalities talk. Y'all need to shut up. It's a contradictory statement, because I miss when PlayStation had personalities, but at the same time, they stopped letting their personalities talk so that they stopped getting old interviews pulled up where people go, "But you said this 2 years ago," and they go, "Oh fuck, that's not our plan anymore." I don't know. Things happened. It was 2 years ago. And so, PlayStation learned that lesson, and it's led to the PlayStation 5 generation being very fucking boring, because we don't have anything to talk about with PlayStation until they bring their next game out. You ever notice that? We don't talk about PlayStation until Wolverine shows his fucking face again. We don't talk about PlayStation until a video game comes out. I am certain PlayStation way, way prefers that than getting just fucking drug out into the streets every week like Xbox is getting drug out in the streets every week. Stop talking. It's bad for you. Now, I'm not saying that we have not been dragging PlayStation. Concord happened, all right? Concord happened, right? But to my point, we didn't say anything until Concord happened. And then Concord happened, we talked about it, and then we didn't say anything for 6 months until the Marathon stolen art thing happened, right? And we only discovered that because the beta came out. We only talk about PlayStation when the games come out. Xbox, you should learn a lesson here.
They've always been bad at PR. They just never have gotten it right. I can't remember the last time they've ever been on top of things.
It sucks, because the personalities seem like good people.
Keep that image up while you're working for Microsoft. It's kind of impossible.
It's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. I believe the heads of Xbox are better people than the heads of Microsoft.